Here we are at another week of perSPECtive. This week we got another guest joining us. As you can see, the designer of Fuji Koro, Jerome. And I'm going to let him introduce more of himself and his last name because we're American.
Good afternoon. Good evening for me. Yes, I'm the designer of Fuji Koro. Thank you for having me on your show. I've been designing games for, I think, 5-6 years now, and Fuji Koro was my first design.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit unusual for a first design since it's huge. Normally you should... Mm-hmm. As a pro tip, you should start with a card game or a small game to get a hang of the ropes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I got lucky to be picked up by a publisher and have my games in stores and now on Kickstarter. Yeah. With my name on the box, and it's for you Americans, it's Demeyere.
Nope, not even a try.
Exactly.
Oh man!
The Demeyere is what most people say.
Oh man! Okay, well we should have had Max on here to try to pronounce it.
You can compare it with the mayor, like the mayor of a city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you say the mayor, it's the same actually. Yeah.
Okay, sure. And yeah, it's Fuji Koro was done by, was it Game Brewer?
Game Brewer, yes. They made the Gugong and the Gentis and some other, and now they have Paris.
Yep.
Paris, and they picked up another game from a Belgian designer, Rule Benders. I think it's still on Kickstarter now, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I haven't met him yet, but I will.
The people
the designer.
Game Brewer? Oh, the designer of Rule Bender.
Oh, the people at Game Brewer I know.
I was going to say, you haven't met them.
Sure.
But, okay, yeah. I mean, Keegan and I, we did the new Panjun review video, and we're big fans of Game Brewer. Their components are always fantastic.
Yeah, the quality is amazing. Yeah.
And you definitely see that in Fuji Koro. We played it. I kickstarted it. Loved the play mat. It was fantastic. I mean, I'm a big fan of playmats, but
I argued against the playmat so much.
Really? Oh man, I love playmats so much. They're so beautiful.
I didn't understand why it needed a board or a mat, or we had some arguments about that.
That's it. Well, that's actually interesting that it was kind of against the designer's wish to have a game mat versus game board. That's I'm surprised. How much could you say? How much sway or how much did they end up deciding and you ended up deciding?
Well, they have the final words. And that's normal. But I came to them with a game that wasn't finished yet, so there was some development needed, and I told them, like, this is my idea and this is how it plays, but it needs some balancing and some development. Sure. And they agreed to do the development and stuff. Okay. And I think they underestimated how much development it needs.
Okay.
So we talked a couple of months ago, and they said, like, oh, we're not gonna sign a game that needs that much development still. That's a lesson learned. But because we worked on it quite a while. Yeah. And they worked on it for months, and then I worked on it, and it went back and forth.
Yeah.
But it was, in the end, I'm super surprised with the result because I couldn't imagine it being that pretty and that nice. Yeah. Like. When you're designing it, you're thinking about what it could look like, and this was beyond what I was imagining. So that's
great. Yeah,
that's nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. And I guess you were kind of going off what you were saying, that they worked on it and you worked on it. Were you two working separately? How does that work when they pick you up? And I guess I've never really learned about that.
Yeah, well, we had one big argument about they prefer Euro games, and I wanted to make it really a mix between Euro and Ameritrash game, and they leaned more into Euro, and I leaned more into heavier player interaction. So we had to find a middle ground, and we were. I was working on trying to meet them halfway, and then they worked on trying to meet me halfway, and that's how we got it to work. That we were happy. That everybody was happy at the table. But that took some work.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Did you have to do? I mean, okay, this was before pandemic stuff. So did you ever meet with them in person to actually work through design and stuff?
They're from Belgium, so it's a 1 hour drive, so that's fine. I met him at Essen at Spiel when he was publishing his first Kickstarter game, like something with Queen, Pixie Queen. Sorry. Yeah, it's 5 years old. Yeah, since I started designing it for. So I met him, talked to him, pitched it to him at the booth, but he had a small booth. It's his first game, and he said then I want to become a publisher. So he wasn't even a publisher yet. And so that's how we met and we talked. And then he said, come over to my house and bring the prototype.
Okay.
And I think 2 months later, I signed a contract and we started working on it. And that was 2016, I think, or 15 even.
Wow.
Yeah, 16. Probably 16. October 16 was Essen, and then December, I think, or January, I signed we made a deal. And then we were super, how do you say it? We will publish it by May 2017. That was the...
Oh, man. That was... So, it's just a very...
We were all very optimistic.
Yes, there you go. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Interesting. Well, that's really cool. Yeah, I think eventually if I can start working on my game more, I think Game Brewer was one of the companies if I don't want to go and try to publish myself, I would go towards possibly Game Brewer, just because
I didn't know you're making a game.
I'm working on one. Keegan's work. I'm actually have 3 or 4 that I'm working on.
That doesn't say anything.
No. It's always a bunch of ideas and stuff that you got going on, but one that I'm actually just working on putting the game into Tabletopia, just the very beginning portions. I made the mistake of probably developing the game a little too much my first time, and when Keegan, Max, and I went and did just a retreat for a playtest, it did not work at all how I wanted it to. Yeah. So I just scrapped it, decided to go to my worker placement game, and now I'm just there's a core mechanic that I just want to test out and make sure it works before I go too far.
My YouTube channel is about helping guys like you, budding board game designers, to when I was starting designing, I looked on YouTube, and all I found was theory and about making board games, but I never saw somebody doing a hands-on video this is how you design a game, or this is what you have to look for, or look at me designing a game. So that I could learn from experience instead of just theory. Yeah. And that's one of the first mistakes you make is designing the game in your heads. Yep. And everything always works in your mind when you're laying out the game. Oh yeah. But you have to play tests as fast as possible. Just definitely cut out some paper and take apart all your boxes that you have and take out and try to remember what cubes you took from what game. The first time. I just get a couple of friends to play it before on game nights. You say first try to play this for a round or two and tell me what you like and what you don't like, and then
that's a good idea.
And so I'm trying to bundle all these kind of things in this YouTube channel, and
that's really cool. Your YouTube channel is
Your Game is Garbage.
Yes, Game is Garbage. Yes, on YouTube. If you want to go check that out, if interested in your designing board games, go check that out. we're actually right after that. After this, we're gonna be going and doing some play testing for you. So
Yes.
stay tuned for that too. And
it's the first time I'm play testing online because normally I do it.
Yeah.
I draw my prototype by hand and stuff. So it was now I drew them by hand, scanned them with my camera, with my phone, and then screen grabs. I'm very bad at the computers, so it was a hassle.
Yes. So that's, I mean, obviously with COVID and stuff, and now having Max away a bit here, I just like, you know what, I'll just do something quick on Photoshop and put it on Tabletopia and just do a private thing for us to test out. I mean, there's not much to it. There's just some basic stuff that I want to test to see if that mechanic works right. So hopefully we can start testing that soon. I started working last night on that.
If I can help, or if I can test for you, just
absolutely.
It'll be fun.
Having it online
I'm always
too.
very curious about other designs or what other people are doing.
I'm happy that you brought up designing a card game first, because I had a game idea that I was thinking about for a long time that Ryan, the one that you know about, but then I had an idea for a card game a couple weeks ago that I was really thinking about a lot in bed one night, where I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I couldn't sleep. And it happens to be a card game, so that makes me really relieved that you say start a card game first.
Isn't that always when the ideas come when you're in bed, you're like, I just want to sleep, but oh my God, these ideas. Yeah, all the time.
But I think it's more difficult. Like simple games are more difficult because if you make complex games with a lot of pieces and a lot of rules, you can always add rules and add stuff to fix things.
Yeah.
But if you're making a framework, like I'm only using 20 cards and 10 tokens, there's not a lot of room for mistakes, or you have to be very creative to make it good or fun or whatever. Or your core idea has to be very good.
It has to be really tight, yeah.
Yeah, you can make a worker placement and put 1,000 rules in there and make it work, but that doesn't really make it a good design or something streamlined. Or that's also like a beginner mistake, is that you make stuff complex, more and more complex. Also because you get bored of your own design as well.
Oh,
yeah.
I know.
You start to know it so well that you're adding stuff to keep it interesting for yourself.
Oh,
and I feel that that's when the work starts. When you're finished with the creative stuff and now you're trying to make it work, that's when it gets annoying and boring.
Oh yeah. Oh, I feel you. I'm an architect, so going through school and design. Oh, I understand. Yeah, like you're like
the outline is super fun, but then
once
calculating everything, it's like crap.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this is. I want to do something new now. This is
the same thing with playing music. I was in a bunch of bands in high school and college, and then you play shows, you play the same song however many times. You're like, I don't want to play the song anymore.
But jamming in the studio is super fun.
Super fun, because it's always different and weird.
That's why when you see the documentaries about famous architects with a huge studio of 100 architects that work for him, he's like on the table, the broad strokes and the Norman Foster thing. So I'm going to make a building like this.
Yep.
And then the 100 architects have to make it work.
And then he gets to leave and go to the next. Yeah. And then comes back several months later to go, no. This is it's not quite. Yeah, flip it. Yeah.
That's designed for you.
Exactly. But I mean, it's always fun. I love it.
But that's why you also, when you get bored on one design, that's why you start another one.
That's why I've got like 4.
With 3 designs.
Yeah.
That's how that happens.
But I gotta keep reminding myself, I have these ideas, just kind of jot them down, but remember to just like keep the focus on the one, because otherwise you're just gonna, you'll never really get one done if you just keep.
Yes, but also when you're stuck with one, it's good to start another project just to clear your mind. So you don't have to dig yourself into one design, but but try not to hop from one to another, because one of the things I also talk about is that I had the the thing that I would play a new board game. Oh, this would be nice in my board game. And then you play another board game and you say, oh, this mechanic would be perfect.
Yeah.
And so your design always veers to what you've played last.
Yep.
Absolutely. I
always
noticed that.
You always regurgitate what you consume.
Am I pushing the right buttons here?
Oh yeah, no. It's all like, oh god, that happened to me. Yep. Yep. It's happening.
Speaking from experience.
Exactly. So I mean, normally we kind of avoid some of the designer talk and stuff to get to know you more.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, this is all good. We love it. As Keegan and I designing our own games and stuff, like we like talking about that. And if a designer wants to talk about it, by all means, we love it. But we also just want to get to know you and have our audience and people know you as a board gamer, because that's where you started as a board gamer before you start designing.
That's where the famous question comes.
Well, I liked it. I asked Jamie this, and I kind of like this because it can kind of really delve into why you love board games, more than just what was your first game, blah, blah. What are your first memories, actually, of board gaming? Like, ones that really stand out to you.
My earliest, most vivid memory of playing board games was playing Monopoly with my brother and sister and taking a break every time and swimming in the pool and go back. And they do some moves, buy some houses, go into the pool, and we would spend all day going from the pool to Monopoly, from the pool to Monopoly. Okay. So that's one of my earliest things. And then my grandmother had some super old board games, and I have one of them right now here that we played. So yeah, those are my earliest memories. And how I got into modern board gaming was through Eclipse, which is behind me.
Literally, yep.
Yeah, my brother bought it, and the first time I played it was like, oh my god, this is like a computer game out of cardboard. I had no idea these things existed, and I think for a year we played it every week, sometimes twice a day. Yeah. Okay. And so that was an eye opener.
Yeah. What age were you when you got into Eclipse?
When it came out, 2012, so that must be 27, 28, something like that, yeah.
Okay, so you got into...
I played Scrabble before that.
So your intro into modern board gaming was a little later in your life, after probably closer, I'd say close to about my age when I started getting into it, yeah. And so Eclipse, that was with your family, right? You said
with my brother and his friends and my friends. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and then where did it start going from Eclipse to? At what point
Eclipse to Game of Thrones, the board game, second edition, I think. There was a comic book store in the street connecting my brother's house and my house. There was a comic book store with a very grumpy comic book salesman, and he also sold board games. And at one day,
interesting,
Game of Thrones, the board game was laid out on a table.
Yeah. And
I started talking to him, and I said, "Oh yeah, I have this problem in this game when we do this and this." And he was like, "You do what?" Of course, we were playing it wrong. I said, "You don't do that. You're playing it all wrong." And so then I said, "Would you mind coming over and play one day so you can teach us how to play it right?" So he became a friend, and his friends came to play, and I came to play in his store. Yeah. And then he started putting tables in his comic book store, and we played a lot of board games. And his board game collection, his board game shelf to sell became bigger than the comic books, and so that grew together with the hobby.
That's really cool. So do you still game with him? Well, like when you can, obviously. With
he sold his store 2 years ago, and but we don't really play together anymore. We have different styles of playing. We like different games, and it doesn't always match. So not that we grew apart, but it's not always. He's very trashy minis and how do you say it? Like the Star Wars thing where you have to measure.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
Armada? Star Wars.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Flying the ships.
Yeah, I think that's Armada. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's not my thing. It's not my jam.
Okay. So are you more than the Euro style games?
I like Euro games, and then suddenly some months I like party games, and then I want to go to the 6-hour civilization game, and then next time I only want to play light games. So it varies on the moods, and it has its periods.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Civilization game?
Civilization, the second to last one, not the last one was I never played it, but I saw some playthroughs, and it seems like it's too abstract. It's now, but Sid Meier's Civilization. I like very much with the expansion. Yeah.
Okay.
Did the expansion just come out? Is that new?
No.
I thought I saw something new.
For Dawn of a New Civilization is the last one.
That one, okay.
Yeah, it's the last iteration of that that game, and I don't think I like it. I've never played it, but it seems like it's streamlined too much. Yeah.
Gotcha.
We not too long ago played help me out, Keegan. A New Story of Civilization Through the Ages. Thank you. I've been.
I like it. Yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to find. I accidentally bought the original from someone, and when it came in the mail, I didn't realize. I thought it was a new Civilization story, and I got the mail. I was like, "Oh no! I messed up. I just bought a $45 game that I didn't mean to do. Oh well." So now I'm still, and of course, like, I bought it, and before it arrived, I bought the expansion for it. So now I have the expansion for the new one. Yeah. So now I gotta find the new one. But I really like that one. I haven't played a lot of Civilization.
I played it too much on the app. That's why I don't play it anymore.
Okay.
It's a common problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've only played it as 2 players, but I really like it a lot.
I played it. The first time I played it was 4 players, and we played for 7 or 8 hours, I think.
Oh my gosh!
Wow. But it was fun. But it's not like it was 4 hours great and 4 hours completely tedious. Mm-hmm. Everybody was into it, and it was fun. It was nice, and we kind of knew it was going to be long, but
How many people was that with? You said
4.
4 players.
4 player Through the Ages. Physically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dang. Okay. Yeah.
And I feel like the Through the Ages and the Civilization game. After I play it, I always get sick. Like, it's so draining that the next day, in the evening, I already feel like my throat's like swelling, and I'm like, oh no, tomorrow I'll be out.
The Through the Ages sickness.
Are you? I guess in that way, say a shit talker. Like, do you guys
trash talker?
Trash talker, sure, yeah.
Yes, and I think I'm the worst one. I also never really win, but I try to trash talk. Yeah,
I love it. I think
I will insult people.
I mean, that's
not personally,
I love it.
But like,
yeah. No, I love that when people can get into it and actually, do that sort of.
What do you think about people begging for their life when they're playing? Like, oh, please don't attack me. If you attack me, I'll leave, and stuff like that.
Oh, no. Right. Well, okay, if they go that far, it's...
Try to get pity, and then when they don't attack them, they're like, ha, you didn't attack me, and they win. But do you have someone like that in your group?
I don't...
No, not really.
I mean, like a politics, like a tabletop game where like that's required. I think that's all of us to an extent, but like not like a game where I mean, there's a few. That game of Gugong, you were trying to get Max really hard to shut me out of the game entirely, and he refused to do that.
I was getting pissed at him because
I was getting pissed at you because you were trying to get in, so I would just automatically lose the game because you messed yourself up.
I was getting pissed at him because his reasoning was, I feel bad, and I was like, stop playing because you feel bad. Play.
Yeah.
Just like have fun with it and like. Yeah, I don't know. He's like, I don't want to decide. I feel like, I was like, no, just play. If you think it'd be great to screw someone over, just play it out. Like, just do it.
To be fair, you weren't saying it personal. To be fair, you weren't saying it that way to him. You were saying you should shut Keegan out so he loses. Just shut Keegan out so he loses.
I mean, yes, because I wanted to win, of course. But yes, I wanted to win. But yes, but him being like, I don't know, I feel bad. I'm like, no, we got to do this. Shut him out right now. He will win. I personally, I haven't played with someone who's like, who will kind of do the beg, like you say, where they'll be like, oh, I'm just going to leave because I know I'm going to lose. Or I know Keegan.
Well, it's not leave, but for example, if I had the choice between you two to attack, and Ryan, you'd be begging and saying, "Oh, please don't attack me. I've had a bad draw and this and that," and I would be like, "Oh, you're so pathetic. I won't attack you. I'll attack Keegan." And then next turn you're like, "Ha ha! You didn't attack me, and I did this and this."
Yeah,
it's more. Yeah.
I would definitely target someone if they did that. We definitely don't have someone.
It wouldn't work on you. You would go for the squeamish.
I'm like,
Ryan's ruthless.
I am ruthless, and I don't like that. Well, okay, I guess it becomes to a point if you're like, oh god, no, please, I'm gonna get completely fucked over if they do. It might not, but like I know Max has some stories where people he played with have been like, this is stupid. I'm already lost. I'm done with this game.
Oh,
you're
yeah,
like, well, now this is
outside of the game. Yeah.
You're like, well, now I don't want to play with you anymore. And
to be fair, Ryan, you did that with Food Chain Magnate.
Oh, I was so pissed with Food Chain. Like,
but that's a brutal game. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
you stopped playing. And you started reading a rule book for a different game while the game was still going on.
I was. Yeah.
But that's something. What you're talking about is something outside the bounds of the game, I think. Like, you can whine inside the game and you can trash talk inside the game. But the minute you go and talk trash talk outside of the game or start saying, like, I don't like it, I don't like this game, or then you're out of it, I think. That's something different from me.
And well, for Food Chain...
I try to avoid it,
Food Chain Magnate pissed me off because... One, it was our first time playing. We played with someone. They're like, you have to go this particular route. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be pigeonholed in a route. I want to like explore other routes and for them to possibly be viable. And I just need to play it out. But as several turns came in, I was like, there's absolutely no viability here.
There's no way you recuperate from this.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't like this in a game. This just pisses me off. Like, I want to be able to explore possible routes and try different strategies, but when there is none, I was just like, this is dumb in a game.
Splatter games are known for their design that way. So
I mean, yes.
Maybe they should put it on the box for you.
And maybe, I mean, at that time, that was probably one of my first Splatter games, so I didn't quite get it. And I mean, I really like Great Zimbabwe and Antiquity. You can do some other things, but with Food Chain, I was like, this is just dumb. This is why does this one strategy, I have to go this along with everybody else doing it? Yeah. So
what do you think about player powers?
I really love player powers. See, I really love that because it gives you a different...
I think that pigeonholes you. Like, for example, Clans of Caledonia has the Milkmaids clan, where you get 8 money for milk or whatever. And if I get that clan, I'm like, okay, I have to make milk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I
milk.
I definitely see that, and I understand that, but to me, I see it more as like, let me try to use my player power to the most beneficial that I can and see how much I can get out of it and milk it. I mean, some games. Yeah, some. But that was intentional. There is some where player powers is like, yeah, you do only have to go a certain route, but like there's some that I'm like, I guess you can say like, the newest one we did was Red Outpost, that it kind of gives you like an incentive to sort of go there, and you're trying to like try to use it to the most of its ability and see like how much you can actually do with it. I really like, because then it kind of like it helps focus a little bit, but then also going how much, at what point do I need to not do it to be most beneficial, and how much benefit can I get out of it. So
I understand, but so I prefer to play Clans of Caledonia without the player powers.
Yeah.
At first, and afterwards, when you play it enough, you do the player powers, because then you start to know the game well. But and I also don't like it. In some games, it seems like you're playing different games. Like I'm doing the milk thing, and you're doing something with fishermen, and we're not really competing. We're competing for some stuff, but we're playing next to each other and not with each other. Because the player powers are so wildly different from each other that you're not playing the same game anymore.
Yeah.
But I prefer player powers to come in gradually, that I've developed my character to have some kind of powers.
Yeah.
And I think Eclipse is a good example of that.
And that actually kind of hits on a little bit what I'm trying to do with kind of like an overarching theme for my games that I'm designing, is this talent tree that you sort of build up and almost build up this player power throughout the game. But you decide the direction you want to go. That's
what I prefer.
And I've been playing, a lot of this idea comes from MMOs that I play. I've been playing World of Warcraft since it came out, so this idea of a talent tree was very intriguing, of how can I incorporate this into a board game, of deciding this direction in which I'd like to go, or like allowing people to decide what they'd like to do. And so that's
Isn't there
I like that idea.
I've never played Skyrim, but there's like a meme of that where you say like, oh, I'm going to start Skyrim, I'm going to be a tank, and then I'm a thief again, or an archer thief, or something like that.
Always happens.
Yeah.
Bad game design.
The game's trash.
Your game is garbage.
Garbage. So let's talk theme, because that was our topic for today. Yes,
after half an hour of trash talking.
Yeah, but hey, I mean, I think people like that, and just talk board games.
How important is theme to you when you play a game?
Well, I mean, Keegan and I, we've discussed this in other videos. That's theme is what really draws me to a game.
Yeah.
It theme and art will draw me to a game and make me want to actually learn more about the game, find out the mechanics, find out what it is. So to me,
That's what it sounds.
it's a selling point. It's what gets me personally engaged into a game. It might not. There's a lot of games, I'm sure, that not necessarily like is integrated well, or like that the theme really fits, but I like the game because I like the theme. Even if it doesn't quite fit, at least it drew me into it, wanting to play it.
Yeah, but if the game is good, then it doesn't really matter anymore if the theme sticks or not. Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I'm more of a mechanics person. Like, I like seeing how the mechanics of a game interact with each other and what mechanics can do for the player and the choices it gives the person. I don't really care so much about the theme. Like, I'm not going to look at a game and go, oh, it has this theme on it, that means I'm going to have to get it. It's more of like, oh, it uses this mechanic. I'm more interested in this game now. Like, I don't think a theme is ever... I think art, yes, art has drawn me into a game, made me more curious about it, but hearing what the theme of the game is, it's never been a selling point for me.
Interesting.
Weirdo.
See, so the theme will draw me into finding out about the mechanic, but if I'm not a fan of the theme, I'm less likely to want to play it, even if I really like the mechanic. Like, worker placement is one of my favorite, but I'm not a huge space theme so I'm less likely to want to play it. So
for me, I think like when I'm talking as a designer now, the game has to be good as an Excel sheet with squares, circles, and X's and victory points, and then you do the theme. So if you're designing a game and it's okay, and you say, but with the artwork and the theme, it will be great. That's not how it works. It has to be good as a blank sheets of paper, Excel sheets, with written down on it. This is a rocket. This is a moon. It has to be good that way, and then you can think about the theme. Well, but I love to design from the theme and to make it work. To think like I'm working on a pirate game now, and like the story of the pirate game is that the pirate king was chased away from the Caribbean with his 4 lieutenants. The 4 lieutenants are the players, and they start a new life in the Philippines, in the Asian part of the world, with the nice jagged rocks and stuff like that. And so the pirate king settles an island and says to his lieutenants, go and loot and plunder and attack ships, everything you can, and we will get rich again, and something like that. Problem is, the pirate king is an idiot.
I like that.
So you're constantly getting orders or getting instructions that don't make sense, and you have to decide, when am I going to betray the pirate king? When am I going to not be the next pirate king? Maybe that's the end game, and it was inspired on Donald Trump's press conferences in the beginning of Corona, when you saw the people behind him, like, oh God. I was like, that will be nice. Like, when do you decide to leave the sinking ship and start writing a book to sell? Or how long do you stay? I wanted that kind of mechanic. So I thought about the score track. Like, you're all 4 behind the pirate king on the score track. And when you, like, he's on 5 and you're on 0, when you get 10 points, you cannot pass him on the score track, so you have to give him points to stay behind him.
Oh, cool.
Something like that. And when you pass him, all the other ones can attack you. But before, you're working together. But if you pass the pirate king, and it was like a game of, when do I pass him? But it's mathematically it's not very easy, because everybody's pushing the pirate king. I tested it like 2 rounds, and I was like, oh, this is not going to work. So I'm still working on how to visualize it. So this mechanic of the score track has to make you feel like you're working together and giving some of your hard-earned points to the pirate king. And when do you stop giving points to the pirate king and keep all the points for yourself? So that's the main thing. But it could be another theme, but it just needed a boss.
See, that mechanic, just that score tracking mechanic, has made me go, I want to know more about the game already. Just that one mechanic.
That's a very
The other side of the game is just Fuji Koro on water. Because instead of making weapons with the cubes, you're making your ship. Like, the white cubes are the sails, the brown cubes are the deck and the ship, and the gray cubes are the cannons. And you're rolling the dice and try to reinvent roll and move. So if you roll your sails, you're moving. If you roll your cannons, it's like a Yahtzee kind of mechanic. You always have to pick at least 1 dice.
Okay.
And you have
oh no!
Intruder alert!
Okay. We'll chat a little bit. You can let him know maybe about 20 more minutes. Okay, so you were talking about these cubes, which I really liked in Fuji Koro as a mechanic. My criticism of it was it didn't feel long enough where I could, like, build up these weapons, use them, build them up again, and use them. Do you feel like this is going to be more in this new game?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I haven't. It's not at that point yet.
Fair enough.
But in Fuji Koro, for me, and I'm gonna burst a little bubble. The weapon and the helmet. It was, for me. It's just a track. So I'm gonna demystify it completely. But your weapon is a track for how strong you are. Your helmet is a track for how much life points you have. You go to the dragon and throw it at the dragon's face, and you're actually giving cubes for points or for other kind of cubes. So it's kind of a market mechanism. It's like going to the shop, rolling dice, and see how much you paid for what you got. And my idea was that you can build a huge helmet and a huge weapon, and you'll fight the dragon and you'll win. But the time you put in is the cost of what you're getting. So the better players will be like, this weapon will be enough, I think, and this helmet might last, and so you might be 2 turns ahead of other players that take longer, or that's. But it didn't really work because most players go for the huge helmet and the huge weapon. They don't want to risk it, sort of. But in games where you have one player who does risk it, and the other players are too scared to go to attack early, it gets kind of skewed. So if you're saying that you built too long on your weapons, it wasn't meant that way.
Not so much that I built too long. It just, with 3 players, the game felt pretty quick, where I didn't and I was, for me, like I said, theme can help me. Like, I really get drawn to the theme a bit, and like this idea of exploring this volcano, right? And you're building up your weapon, even if it's not this super big weapon, but building it up, going to fight these dragons, exploring it, felt really quick. And I was like, ooh, I wanted more of that. I wanted to go fight the dragon, my weapons get damaged, go out quick, like explore, build it up again, go fight a bigger dragon. So I guess that became more of my question of,
you want to fight 6 dragons in a game, not 2 or 3. That's
and I felt like, unfortunately, in my game, I kind of was off by myself, and Max and Aiden were fighting the dragons, and I didn't really get involved in it enough. And I was like, ooh, I felt really like I was behind, because they got to get some extra bonuses and whatnot for just simply being off in a certain location together, where I was like, oh, I'm not strong enough to fight this green dragon or whatever. And that's like, kind of
some of the randomness you have to deal with. And I think I could have done a better job with that. But the tiles you draw kind of decide what game you're going to play. But I tried to make it pretty even, but sometimes it's not.
I mean that was a pretty big one. So trying to do that, I'm sure would be a even longer balancing act. But
I didn't do the balancing because I suck at it. So that's the development of Game Brewer. But my idea of the tiles was that you're exploring. I wanted to do, and I've explained this many times, I wanted to do the test you do with children. Like, you tell a child, you get a cookie now, or if you wait 10 minutes, you get 2 cookies. All the children are saying, give me the cookie now. And so the tiles are designed that way. If you put it with the rewards close to you and you take it, then the way back is much harder. The lava is designed that way that it's... So I wanted to do all these kind of tricks in my design to make players think more, like the second time, like, maybe I should turn it this way. So that I get a better way back.
Interesting. Okay.
I liked designing that game.
So let's continue with this, like, theme integration. Let's maybe talk about...
Sorry, I'm designing again.
And it's okay. Is there a particular game that you feel has done a very good job of theme integration? I think Keegan and I both grabbed a couple games that we felt did a good job of that.
Tell me, because I'm lost. I don't really know. I think I'll always go back to Eclipse, and I think Carson City is also a good theme integration since it's worker placement, and you also duel for stuff, and you're building a city, but yeah, you're owning parts of the city and not the whole. Yeah, I like Carson City, Eclipse theme wise. I like the Hawaii, the Hawaii board game, just because I put Hawaiian music while I play it. It's very soothing. But otherwise, it's a vicious worker placement game.
Well, I don't even know that game.
Theme-wise, it gives me.
Okay.
I like it.
Well,
but theme integration, what I wanted to say was, for example, if you're playing a game about farming and you're planting seeds, and you say here will be my carrots and here will be my cabbage and whatever, and then you roll a dice and the seeds you put in as carrots become eggplants. That's not good theme integration. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like if the mechanics don't match the theme, like throwing seed into the ground shouldn't be random or stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if there's not many good games that you can say that do this. I don't know.
I picked a couple games, and one of my games was Architects of the West Kingdom.
Yeah.
I thought did a really good job. One, obviously you're trying to build in this city as well as help construct the cathedral. But in order to do that, you need to pay for basically hire worksmen, and each one kind of has their own specialty where in a different building might require a certain tradesman to actually be able to build that. And I was like, well, that kind of fits really nicely with this idea of these different buildings, right? You need maybe a stonemason or someone who does, in each one there, obviously you have to pare it down for a game, but the idea that you needed to pay or hire these certain workers in order to build these certain buildings, I thought worked really well with the whole game. And then this idea that the expansion brought in with the Age of Artisans was that you now can have tools that you're giving these different people to help them basically, build the buildings better, give better bonuses throughout the game. Or put adornments, decorations on the building to make them more grand.
Seems thematically correct.
So,
or do you have a gripe with it?
No. This is one that I think does a really good job.
Does it well? Yes, but building games and I think those themes are easy. These kind of things integrate building or city building or whatever in worker placements where you actually have workers. Those things are easy. Yeah. Well, no offense, but I feel like there's other games where it's much harder to integrate the theme. And again, a game I'm designing now and that you're going to playtest, I have struggled so much with the theme because it started as a civilization game. And there's a mechanic in the game where, so everything makes sense civilization-y, but there is a mechanic in the game, if you chop woods, you have to build on the forests with the woods. Like you have to do this. You cannot build a stone building in the woods.
Okay.
Or you cannot build, what was the other resource? Whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you pick up the wood, you have to place the wooden house on the forest. But that was the main mechanic. That was where the idea started.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find a thematic way to explain this. And then I started looking at igloos. Oh, if you have to build an igloo in the snow with the ice, so that makes sense. And then now I need 3 more. Okay. In this setting.
Yeah.
So. I gave up on that. You'll see what it became later. It's not even my own theme. But
okay.
Yeah. But theme integration, when you start with the theme and build the game into that, is easier, I think, than starting with the mechanic. and putting a theme in there.
Keegan.
But it has to match your mechanics.
Yeah.
You cannot do for something that's not random in real life. You cannot put a random mechanic on there.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of games that do that where we felt that like, oh, this could have been any theme. There was. It seems like you built a mechanic, you developed a game, then you just
But then you're playing Excel sheets. That's fine. I don't mind an Excel sheet with a theme, but I do mind growing crops and rolling the dice and seeing how tall your carrot is or how like that's not how it feels in real life. So it should the mechanic should feel.
I think with like a farming game, it's not really a farming game, but this mechanic made me think of that with Alubari, A Nice Cup of Tea, where that game you're harvesting tea as a crop, but there's the randomness in it is the weather that's going to happen that day. But there's a track that lets you forecast the weather. So like I know today is going to be foggy outside, so this is going to affect my harvest. Which that randomness
sounds realistic. Yeah.
Exactly, which is I think pulls it off really well. And Formosa Tea does the same. All tea games, Formosa Tea does the same thing too, with like every column having a certain amount of like wetness, and you can forecast how that's going to affect every round.
Yeah, I should have thought of a better example, but you know what you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's no good game in my cupboards that has that crazy kind of thing. But there are games where you're like overall the theme is right, and then there's like this little quirky mechanic here, but you're like it's fine. Like that doesn't really match real life, but games shouldn't be an exact simulation. So if you try to make a simulation, then you're going to be hopelessly lost in the rule book. This thick.
I mean, I guess a good example of that too is Wingspan, right? Like a lot of it does make sense, except for the eggs. The eggs don't really make sense where playing down a bird in sequential order is more eggs. What are the eggs doing? I don't understand that. But like attracting birds to their different habitats with the type of food they eat makes sense.
But that's something you forgive if the game is good. But if the game is not good, then you'll see the flaws much more.
Yeah, the game I'm thinking about that has a lot of quirks is Feudum. Like Feudum is in my top 5 favorite games ever, but I know there's a lot of people that absolutely hate that game because of all the quirks that are in it. And the theme of it is it's its own world, and everything in the game makes sense in the context of the game's universe. But I know like all the small quirks in the games, like the ferry boats open up only if the alchemist doesn't have any vehicles in the shop. Like people can see that and go, stupid, and that's too much, and I hate the game because of that. And like what you were saying, Jerome, about like having a small thing like that making it worse if you hate the game, but if you like the game, you forgive it.
If the theme is well integrated, then it's much then you remember the rules of the game much better. If the rules make sense to the theme, then it's a big plus. But if you have these kind of rules of like the ferry boat only when this and that, it's in a world that's made up is also much harder to explain because you have to explain the world and you have to explain the rules that match the world. So it's double the rules actually. So you have to watch out with those kind of things. You can build a world that matches your rules, but that doesn't make it easier to explain to people.
Right.
True.
That's why tropes always work. Like
what do?
The tropes like the thief is quick and stealthy, and the ogre he's probably strong or he's better under bridges. Those are things that you can guess while you're playing. You don't have to. These kind of things work.
I think Vito Lacerda does a good job with that stuff because it's like he always designs from an idea or like a situation he wants to design on. Like he thinks of like, this sounds really cool, I want to make a game about this. And I think he does a really good job at integrating the mechanics to make sense with the theme of the game so you remember it better.
Yes, but
his games are heavy, but
fucking hell.
But I think there's some. He tries to add.
I had this bow in my hand and I was like, no.
There's
like you can't casually play them. You have to be like, okay, I'm gonna spend an hour reading the book, and then I'm gonna spend half an hour thinking, how am I going to teach this game to my friends? And then, you have to make a day out of it. And,
we did that.
Sometimes I want to, but it's not for impromptu playing.
We just did that with Kanban on
You're
Sunday.
not like, oh, let's play this.
Yeah. Like Sunday, we did a playthrough of Kanban EV on Tabletopia, and the night before we were like, everyone read the rule book before we go into it on Sunday. And then even Sunday, we had to do a 35-minute rules overview really quick. So
I started watching, and I was like, how long until I can just skip into it? when will they be playing?
No, it was about a half hour.
They're still explaining.
Yeah.
4 hours long. It was like way longer than we were expecting it to be.
That was ridiculous. It was a 4.5 hour video. It was. Oh boy, yeah. But
I knew it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really loved the game, but god damn, it took so goddamn long. I mean, playing it, when we actually started playing it, didn't feel that long. Because you didn't have, like, in actuality, you don't have that many turns. Yeah. So, like, all of them matter heavily, but because it can, like, each person can take so long, there's a lot of steps to go through. Once you make your move, you have to go through X, Y, Z, right? You have to do the whole turn.
If it doesn't feel long, it can be an 8-hour game of Through the Ages, but if it feels 2 hours, perfect.
Yeah.
You have games that are the other way around. You're playing 1 hour and it feels 4 hours. So.
Risk.
Exactly.
Risk. Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. But I think so. With the game I'm designing, I really like this idea of building up a town, and we're going to start talking about it. But I like to think about it from the direction of building up the town. People have to do it, but it takes time to do these things. And I want to bring that idea into it where every action requires time. And a town isn't built up.
Don't make it grinding the game.
How do you mean?
No, like if real life stuff is a grind, don't make your game a grind. You'll find out when playtesting, like people want to build a house, don't make them bake the bricks and don't make them mix the mortar.
Yeah, no.
That's like game design 101.
Yes, it's a lot more pared down. It's just everyone's going to have to contribute to a particular building as it gets built, but every action is a certain amount of time that the workers will, and basically
time is a resource.
Yeah, and you're going to be basically playing through multiple generations of people, and there's going to be the children, the parents, and then the grandparents, and each one can do their own actions. But then all the different actions are a certain time, which is what makes the children grow to the adults, then the adults to the grandparents. Then once the grandparents die, they provide you bonuses throughout the game, and the game will end when the town is complete. But it's not based on points. It's based on how much you've contributed to it, and whether the elders, sort of, yes. The elders of the town have to elect a leader, a family leader, to do it, and everyone. God, this became about pitching the game, but
you can come on my show and you can pitch the game, and I'll tear you apart.
Good. I mean, I need it. That's what's going to have to happen.
Your game's garbage.
Yeah, and it's going to. Have you played War of Whispers?
No.
So essentially, for that game, you kind of have like a secret. Each faction is like they're in, let's just say, placement 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you need to influence things to be in that location so that you can get the most amount of points. It's essentially like that, where you're trying to influence the military, the church, the merchants, whatever, and at the end of the game, depending on where their influence is how much votes they're going to give your family. And so you're trying to like influence based on like which buildings you want to start contributing to it at certain times in the game will help you. So
everybody's decorating the Christmas tree, but you only remember the person who put the star on top.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yep.
But you can't put the star on top until you did this.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, essence of my
The
game.
Christmas tree is track.
Uh-huh. And the whole, I'm just trying to right now test out if this idea of like influencing these different people is actually working with building the certain buildings.
Yeah, I'm very curious about it, and we will talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to try out my game?
I think we can go to that now. Yeah, we've. But is there anything we've already talked about it? But is there anything that you want to plug? Anything that you want people to know about?
Yeah, my board game channel.
Your board game
my
channel.
YouTube channel, but that's it's for people, it's for guys like you and me who like to, and I want to hear people pitch their game and come with problems or with ideas, and we can work on it. I want it to be more hands-on and more less theory and more practical design. Yeah.
Awesome. And
I already pitched all my games on there. So now I'm having guests coming over because, first of all, I'm stuck with my games. Well, I've started again developing because I had the first 3 episodes. I was working on one game, and then I got stuck, and I started inviting people because I didn't make any progress.
Yeah, sure.
But now it's progressing again, and that's what we're going to play.
Yeah. And that's Your Game is Garbage on YouTube.
Yes.
So check that out, and people can find
it's not
you.
Because your game is garbage, but you should treat your game as garbage. You shouldn't put too much money or art in it before it's finished, because treat it as garbage. It's not a precious thing. Your idea isn't as precious either.
Don't get hooked on that initial idea. You need 3 ideas.
Share it. Talk about it. It will progress your idea, and nobody will steal it. Don't worry.
Exactly. And people can find you on Instagram at...
Instagram mostly. Facebook I don't really use anymore. Jerome Demeyere.
Not even going to try it. It is... Don't worry. It is on... We're going to put it on the description, and it's on the video the whole time. So people will be able to find you.
Contact me if you want to playtest on Tabletop Simulator.
Awesome.
Because I'm late to the game, but I need to adapt to the changing times.
Well, great.
It's very nice talking to you guys.
You too. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone.
I think I invited myself, if I remember correctly.
No. I mean, that was the whole thing. We want people to reach out to us and ask us to be
exchange.
On. It is.
Because I want you on my thing.
I mean, that's the whole thing.
We're going to invite ourselves into your channel now, so it's okay.
Yes. All right. So let's head over there. Thank you, everyone. Till next week. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.